Hello, my name is Carrie Duran and I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm a mental health advocate and I talk personally and passionately about mental health, and professionally I'm pursuing a degree in it. It's my passion because it's something I suffer with personally. I suffered from PTSD, generalized anxiety disorder, and major depressive disorder from 14 until I was about 26, and then that's when I realized my very first big eye-opening change, which was that mental health is a journey. It's not a one-stop shop. So what you have isn't what you're going to have forever, which is why it's so important that I think we have to make the magic out of mental health. We don't know what's coming our way. Our mental health will be here forever, so why not make the best of it, right? And look at it with the glass half full instead of half empty. So I wanted to share some of the tips on what I've been doing to really get a grasp and control of my mental health and live just a better life without letting mental health hinder that. The first was that learning it was a journey. That was very important, and that it taught me to be patient with myself and kind with myself, and reach out for resources, go to events, and hang out with like-minded people that understood. That changed my life drastically. That was my first step. The second was really important. It was paying attention to my state of mind. Did you know that we have over 70,000 thoughts a day? And although they sometimes just pass in and they go to our subconscious, I thought that was a crazy thought to think of when I first heard it, because I was thinking the same things. I was like, I'm gonna have to check into that fact, because I swear I think the same things every day. And that was true for me, because I was playing this negative tape recorder in my head and not paying attention to what it was feeding into my subconscious, which then leads to how you feel and how you think of things and perceive things naturally. So I encourage everyone to really start paying close attention to their state of mind and not being on autopilot. The ways that you can do that is when you pay attention to your state of mind, start to realize what you're thinking. For example, I would think things like, why me? Why am I going through this? Like, why do I feel like this during such a great time in my life? And there was times I wanted to give up, chase dreams or pursue new opportunities, and I would give up thinking like, no, I'm about to have a breakdown, or what if I have a breakdown in the middle? That's going to be so embarrassing. So once I started noticing that about 90% of my thoughts were just so negative, I realized I needed to make some changes there. And so I read a lot about rewiring my brain, and I did that by creating these positive affirmations. For me, it works to say, instead of why me, like poor me, why did I get this, I say try me. I'm strong enough to do this. I've done this before. Depression will lift again, it'll come again, and I know how to handle it, and I'll get better each and every time. Instead of saying I'm going to give up, I started to say I'm going to get up. And so these little affirmations started to rewire my brain into thinking more positive naturally. So when a depression episode came again, I wasn't so scared. I wasn't so defeated. I was actually living a life where I felt mental health was a part of me and not my entire life, and that was really liberating. I also thought it was really important when I found out that I wasn't alone. I think humans are just wired for connection, and when we start to feel alone in our illness, it can be we isolate ourselves, we get really down on ourselves. And I'll use my example for bipolar 2, just how devastated I was that I had that and was diagnosed with it earlier this year. But as I entered this new world of bipolar 2 and found the new resources and like-minded people, and discovered where it came from and how I can handle it and what to expect, it changed my world completely. Entering a new world or when you're transitioning, that can be really difficult, and the unknown is scary, and I'll admit that. But I learned so much that changed my life, from finding people that had been through it before or been dealing with it longer and had helpful tips, because I certainly had no idea what I was dealing with. So remembering you're not alone and reaching out for resources are really helpful. I wanted to share a few more tips. The second thing that really helped was constantly feeding positivity. So once I started to pay attention to my state of mind and realize I wasn't alone and that I needed to think more positively, naturally, about mental health and the thoughts that I was having just daily, I then started to find therapeutic events and therapeutic activities, events, and healthy habits that made me feel so much better. So, for example, to me, painting and piano are a time where I'm very relaxed, life is still, my mind is clear, and I never made time for that before. I would always just be on the go. But it's really important that we take care of ourselves because we can't take care of others if we don't take care of ourselves first. So I encourage you to find time for your habits and your hobbies and make sure that those habits are healthy and keeping you on the right side of your state of mind. And I know I have my fair share of bad habits. I wish I could kick them all at once, but I'm a work in progress. So I'll use exercise as an example. I am not a fan, or it just takes a lot to get me motivated to go to the gym for a solid hour or two, a few times a week. So instead, I'm realizing that even just embracing the small walk to my car where I live that takes 15-20 minutes every morning. I used to dread that, but after rewiring my brain, I was like, hey, this is where I get my exercise, walking twice a day, about 30-40 minutes, and I wasn't dreading that walk every morning anymore because I noticed that the endorphins the exercises created in my brain were so helpful. So even if it's 5 minutes a day and maybe we've just burned 10 calories, it's scientifically proven that exercise helps. And also making time for the activities that you enjoy. You deserve to have time for yourself. You work hard and life's all about serving others, but it's all about being happy and fulfilled as well. And I think that we can do that by finding therapeutic activities, especially when we're dealing with mental health. My most recent revelation that I wanted to share with you was about self-care and self-love. So a lot of people take a day a week to just kind of relax, recoup, and do what self-care and self-love have so many definitions. So they do whatever that it is their definition of self-care and self-love. Something that I have dealt with a lot since battling bipolar 2 or just dealing with that adventure is that I call them mental health vacations. Sometimes I wake up and it's still there, and the next day it's still there. So what I've done is given myself an allotted time to go through this depressive episode that's came, or this hypomania episode that's came, or the hard times that are coming. And I call them mental health vacations because they're okay. Your feelings are valid, you're doing the best you can, and you are battling something that is so tough. Think about all the people you know, and then there's 1 in 5 of those people that you can relate to, and so you're not alone again, and the mental health vacations are completely okay. Don't feel selfish taking those at all. You deserve them, and we need them to keep going on. And the last point is being honest with yourself on where you're at and how you're feeling, because things can become so much worse if we don't accept that, today I'm feeling really depressed, and that leads back to maybe you need a mental health day or a mental health vacation, and everything's just been so wild. You're about to have a breakdown and you just need some time for yourself. That's okay. You never feel guilty for that. But start by being honest when you need those. So it's also important to be honest with others. When people ask me how I'm doing, I'm not one to say I'm okay if I'm not. I don't tell my life story, but I'll just say things have been a little weird lately or a little rough, but I'm doing better, or I'm getting out of it, if that's the truth. You don't have to tell that story to everybody, but it's important to have a few select people that you feel comfortable talking to and that are your safe place, because sometimes they can tap us out of that dark place that we're in, and that is so helpful and so needed when we get stuck in the tape recorder that's going over and over and over again. So I just wanted to encourage all of you that there is hope in mental health. It's just one aspect of our life, and it's not our entire life. It doesn't mean that's all we are. And I think there's so many ways to manage it and make the best out of mental health, because it's something that only you know how to understand, and that makes you incredibly powerful. You have a privilege that some don't ever get to experience. You feel things deeper, you see things differently, and those are gifts that we wouldn't have if we didn't go through these mental health adventures. So again, I'm wishing you all the best, and I'm here if you ever need to talk or you ever need anything. You can definitely follow me at thecarpedmlife.com or on Instagram. And I'd love to reach out to people and just be there if they need any support or advice, or if they have any for me. So wishing you the best, and namaste.